Namaskar. This is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. The entire Indian banking system and resultantly the Indian economy have been reeling under a giant mountain of bad loans which have defied any resolution since many years. After any loan turns bad, whether due to willful reasons or otherwise, it is finally the courts where the recovery battles are fought between the banks and their delinquent borrowers. And time and again, India's slow-moving and uncertain judiciary has failed to ensure a timely and appropriate recovery of bad loans. As it so happened, it was the ineffective performance of the high courts in the matter of bank loan recovery that led to the formation of the debt recovery tribunals, which also failed to deliver, then leading to the enactment of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code under the NCLT for the purpose of recovery of bank loans expectedly in a time-bound and effective manner. But with this benchmark in mind, the experience at the NCLT so far has been not very different from what it has been in the past. Therefore, to now think that the Bankruptcy Code and the NCLT will actually provide an effective remedy to the recovery of bad bank loans to us seems to be a highly misplaced expectation. The general experience at the NCLT so far in the matter of resolution and recovery of bank loans has been that the bigger the loan, the more is the delay and the less is the recovery, and thus the bigger is the loot of public money that takes place. The latest case that proves this disturbing situation of a national loot is that of the settlement of the bank loans and other creditors of the Videocon group in its bankruptcy at the NCLT. The facts of this case are that 13 companies of the Videocon group were before the NCLT for a group resolution for settlement of the massive dues that these entities owed to financial creditors, which is banks and other lending institutions, and to operational creditors, which is their vendors, creditors, and other suppliers who had not been paid since many years. These creditors had dragged the bankrupt group to the NCLT for the recovery of their dues. The group entities together owed a staggering sum of about 65,000 crores, of which, while 3,000 crores were owed to vendors and suppliers, the balance amount of 62,000 crores was owed to banks and other lending institutions. These lenders were led by State Bank of India with an exposure of about 11,000 crores to the Videocon group and IDBI Bank with an exposure of about 9,500 crores. The loans to Videocon went bad many years ago, but the group's clout in the system, its reach in the official circles, thwarted any early recovery by the creditors and by the lenders. The Videocon group's flagship business used to be that of manufacture of consumer durables. Its woes began when it made heavily debt-funded forays into unconnected businesses like oil and gas, telecom, DTH, etc., which the bankers surprisingly funded readily and heavily. The cancellation of its telecom license by the Supreme Court in 2012 escalated and enhanced the bankruptcy of the group. Led by its promoter Venugopal Dhoot, Videocon has been an aggressive borrower from banks, even if it meant bribing top bankers. That's evident from the fact that Venugopal Dhoot has been an accused in the loans for bribe scandal of Chanda Kochar, the former CEO of ICICI Bank, where loans of a few thousand crores were sanctioned by ICICI Bank to the Videocon group in return for huge bribes that were paid to Chanda Kochar through her husband's companies. Expectedly, those loans soon turned bad upon their very disbursement to Videocon, showing how fraudulently they had been sanctioned and disbursed. The Videocon matter has been pending before the NCLT now since about 3 years. Last year, the group offered to pay about 31,000 crores to the bankers by 2035 over a 15-year period. This offer was flatly refused by the lenders to the group, who were not in a mood to wait any longer. The interesting point here is that Venugopal Dhoot, while making this offer, had said that the group would sell and monetize its assets and intangibles to realize and pay about 31,000 crores to banks, etc., of which the main realization was expected from its sale of its 25% stake in the Rava oil field, which presently produces about 15,000 barrels of oil per day. As against this offer of 31,000 crores of Videocon, Vedanta is now paying a mere 2,962 crores, and that too not all at once over a period of time. After the Videocon offer was rejected, a few bidders then stepped in with offers to take over the group, and in December last year, the banks approved the bid of Twinstar Technologies Limited, a Vedanta group company, to take over these companies. The Vedanta bid was approved by the NCLT last week by committing to pay a mere 2,962 crores, that too over a period of 6 years, against total group liabilities of about 65,000 crore rupees. Vedanta, which has been a seasoned operator at the NCLT, it had earlier picked up Facor and Electro Steel, has certainly now acquired Videocon for the song. The shocking terms of settlement offered by Vedanta are something like this. Those secured lenders who had agreed to the Vedanta offer will be paid a mere 4.89% of their total dues. Then, those secured lenders who did not agree to the Vedanta offer will be paid 4.56% of their total dues. Those unsecured lenders who agreed to the Vedanta offer will be paid a mere 0.62% of their total dues. The descending unsecured lenders will be paid nothing. Workers will be paid 52 crores towards their outstanding dues. The unsecured vendors, suppliers and other creditors, which mainly consist of MSME units, will be paid a paltry 10 crore rupees as against their total dues of 3,000 crores, a pittance payment of just 0.72% of their dues. The lenders will be paid 200 crores in 25 months' time, and the balance 2,500 crores will be paid over a period of 3 to 6 years, together with interest at the rate of 6.65%. Those secured creditors who agreed to the offer will get an 8% shareholding in the emerging company after this settlement of the group dues. And finally, the share of the company stand delisted at the BSE and the NSE, thus leaving the Videocon shareholders high and dry, of which about 43% are individual shareholders. Such a settlement for a pittance, where the haircut is over 95% of the dues, is disturbing. It's a national loot. But this is happening too often now, particularly where the case is of a large and influential borrower. They manage to get away with the loot. If the haircut in the Videocon settlement is 95.85%, that in the case of ABG Shipyard was 95%. In the case of Landpur Infra, it was 88%. And in the case of Alok Industries, it was 83%, due to which the total money lost by banks in 12 cases settled by the NCLT so far is about 2.97 lakh crores. The shameful fact is that the house of a small borrower of maybe just 5 lakh rupees gets auctioned in recovery, but it's just an entirely opposite matter in the case of these poor mega corporates with rich billionaire promoters who often go scot-free. The facts of this case and the emerging issues are something as follows. The first one, the helpless NCLT admitted that Vedanta is paying virtually nothing for the takeover of Videocon, but it could do nothing. It urged Vedanta to reconsider a higher payment to the vendors who are mostly MSME units and are being paid a mere 10 crore rupees against their total dues of 3,000 crores. The NCLT noted that the offer of Vedanta was almost similar to the confidential internal valuation which was done by the lenders, and the NCLT remarked that there has been a breach of confidentiality showing some kind of a nexus between Vedanta and the lenders. After all, how could it be that the two valuations could be almost close and similar? While even the average payment of 4.15% of the dues is almost no payment at all, the worst affected are the unsecured lenders and the MSME vendors who are being paid a mere token payment of 0.72% of their dues, which is next to nil. So a supplier creditor to whom Videocon owed, say, 1 crore rupees will get a token payment of just 72,000 rupees in the settlement of his entire dues. The NCLT therefore remarked that with this kind of a settlement, many suppliers and vendors to Videocon will certainly go bankrupt. Such an atrocious settlement reflects very poorly on the bankers who gave loans to the Videocon group, which are likely to have been driven by bribes, as was the case of loans sanctioned by ICICI Bank under Chanda Kochhar to Videocon. And these bankers and banks must be subjected to criminal investigation. They have facilitated this loot. In all fairness, how can any court improve recovery of loans when the loan sanctions were bogus and fraudulent at the very inception? But what the courts can certainly do is to order and compel a criminal investigation in the sanction of these loans and punish the wrongdoers. The shareholders of Videocon, whose shares have been delisted and rendered worthless, must also insist on a criminal investigation into the affairs of the group to nail and punish the delinquent management. And finally, the Videocon case took more than 3 years to be decided. The more the delays, the more the chances of depletion and deterioration of the securities and assets of the defaulters, and the bigger the haircut that the creditors and lenders will have to take. That norm of 95% kind of a haircut seems to have just become a new normal at the NCLT in dealing with bad cases. The larger picture to us is that the ease with which Videocon was able to bring about this kind of a settlement and haircut means that this is the path most big defaulters will manage to adopt, and they will manage to loot with ease. It's national loot after all. Public money is what has been taken away. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.